So, about a month ago, I tried out Minecraft's trial chambers for the first time, and I really enjoyed exploring through the chamber for the first time. However, having played through the chamber once, I've essentially seen the bulk of the content of what there is with trial chamber gameplay. Now, granted I haven't done an ominous trial yet, but I do plan on it. Anyway, now that I've done that, I have some ideas on how I personally would like to see the trial chambers improved in the future, because I think there's a lot of potential to them. Like, I really enjoy playing through them, but like I say, I think they could be quite repetitive. And while I'll do the ominous trial, I don't think there'll be much more to it after that. Personally, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, here are some ideas. Starting off, I think there should be more rooms. So the trial chambers at the moment are, like, they're based on, I guess, like, kind of similar to all of Minecraft, like, with, like, temples and stuff. They're kind of just pre-generated rooms that can kind of spawn in any sort of way and layout, I think, and I think they're of a predetermined size. Like, I don't think trial chambers can be, like, infinitely big in theory. I don't know that for certain. But my point is that I think adding more rooms just adds a bit of variety, and I think that will immediately just help with the whole issue of not wanting to play through it again, because every trial chamber would then be different, and that immediately, I think, is a big thing. You know, being able to replay something because it's different. And as well as that, I think adding extra rooms shouldn't be the hardest thing to do. Like, I don't know this, I don't develop Minecraft, I don't know anything about game development as a whole, but I can't imagine it's the hardest thing to do. So I think of all the things that I'm about to say and, like, request, I think this surely is one of the easier things to do. And again, adding in, like, randomized layouts and stuff, it just adds to the fun. I think being able to go onto any given world and know that you're going to get a different trial chamber and get a different experience each time, I think is a big thing. The next thing I'd like to talk about is different chambers for different biomes. This is something that I actually saw online, suggested. I can't remember exactly where. It might have been on an article or something when the chambers first came out. I can't really remember, but I think it's a really cool idea, because essentially I think what the idea was is that for each well, not for every biome, but for certain biomes, you could have a different style of chamber. And I really like this idea, and I think one of my other ideas is heavily based upon this idea. But essentially, I think the bulk of it is that, say, a desert biome, right? You could have a desert-themed chamber. Now, obviously, it's underground, so you can't tell that you're in a desert. You can't really tell the difference between biomes when you're underground as such. So I get that, but I think particularly with, like, I don't know, like an icy biome, I think an icy chamber would be really cool, and being able to have mobs and things like that that are based upon the biome that you're in, it could be really cool. And I think also, again, adds to the whole thing of not every single like chamber will be the same experience. And as well as that, I think it would also incentivize you to visit multiple trial chambers in any given world, because it will also incentivize you to go to different biomes. I think it just adds a lot of replayability, which I think is kind of the main thing that I'm actually gonna, again, focus on here, is I think that there's a lot of potential for replayability with the trial chambers, and at the moment, they're quite samey, or at least as far as I'm aware, they're quite samey. So, another thing that I want to discuss, though, is something where, in terms of, like, the biomes thing, I think it'd be cool. Again, like an icy chamber would be really cool. Or, I don't know, maybe one in the jungle, something like that. I don't really know how they do it, but I think there's definitely potential there. But one thing that I really would like, and this is something which I think I've discussed in the past, how I would like to see the end, and the nether to a lesser extent, but particularly the end, expanded on. Because I think the nether's good now, but imagine a chamber in both the nether and the end. I think that could be really cool, and again, it adds 2 extra things to the chambers. So you could do an overworld chamber, you could do a nether chamber, and an end chamber, and I think there is so much potential to what those could be. Obviously in the nether it would be more like fire-based, with like blazes and maybe wither skeletons and stuff like that, and then in the end, probably mostly like endermen in there, but like I think there's so much potential for what you could do with that, and it's something which I would really like to see. I don't know if it's planned or anything like that, but I just think that would be a really cool thing to see, and particularly as someone who, like I say, I really want to see the end get updated. I think this is something which is actually kind of realistic in that they have recently released the trial chambers, and expanding upon it I think would be a cool thing to do. And I think it's something that Mojang would probably be interested in doing. I don't really know. But yeah. Another thing, though, that I want to discuss, and this is different to the rest in terms of what I would want to add. And it's kind of, I suppose, my final point, but I think it's a pretty big one, is puzzles. Now, the reason I bring up puzzles is because of the fact, at the moment, trial chambers, for as much as I actually had a lot of fun with them and exploring them, they are just endless PvE. You're just fighting mobs endlessly in waves, and it's fun, but, you know, there's kind of like a limit to how fun that can be, because, like I say, it's pretty repetitive after a while. That said, I think puzzles can really incentivize trying to learn different game mechanics, so they could add in something that involves, I don't know, like simple puzzles. You could have the use of like a target block, and you just shoot it with a bow, and it causes a reveal of sorts. I don't know what exactly, but it causes a reveal that can then maybe reveal some more mobs, but then once you've killed off the mobs, you get a reward, maybe. I don't know. I think there's potential to do that. Or there's stuff like parkour, or redstone, I think, is some stuff that, like, particularly in single-player Minecraft, you don't really have to be good at parkour at all to be good at survival Minecraft. And I think it's something where I think it's a really fun thing. I love parkour. Chances are, as I'm recording this, I'm doing it as just a voiceover, but I will probably just have gameplay of me playing parkour, or potentially PvP, but more likely parkour in the background, because it's fun. I love parkour. And I think being able to teach people more about parkour in a parkour puzzle in a chamber, I think it could be a really cool thing to add. As well as that, though, I think something like redstone is also something where it's a really deep mechanic, is redstone, and it's one that I really don't understand, and I will admit that I don't know anything about redstone. But I think it could be cool to add something where you can kind of learn about redstone, and probably more likely just the basics of redstone. Realistically, you know, you don't need to make it really advanced, but a redstone puzzle to get a cool reward in a trial chamber, I think could be a really cool thing, especially if you are having to deal with the mobs at the same time. And I realise that, you know, you can make the point that maybe, okay, yes, that is starting to get too complicated in a sense, because, you know, if you had a parkour puzzle with redstone and there's also mobs, that's a lot at once. But, like, I think having more than just mobs to kind of just attack you while you're kind of breaking pots and checking chests, I think could be cool. I think, because like I said, I think there is just more to what a trial chamber could be. And that was kind of what I wanted to get at, is the fact that I think the puzzles could be a really cool addition. So that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video, because I think, like I say, the trial chambers are a really cool addition that I'm really excited about, and I've really enjoyed. But like I say, I think at the moment they're still relatively basic, in that there's kind of like no reason to play them more than once in a given world. And even then, if you are playing multiple survival worlds, I'm sure they probably could get quite boring after a while. The other point to make, though, is that I suppose, yeah, okay, they're not so much there as just a fun thing to do. They are an essential thing to do if you want to get a mace, which is like OP now, and a big new thing within the combat. But like I say, I think adding just a few extra bits here and there, just for a bit of fun if nothing else, could be a really cool thing to add. So yeah. Let me know what you would like to see added to Minecraft in the future, particularly focused on trial chambers. Anyway, bye.